Welcome to Realty Real Talk. We are here with co-host Ashley Warney. Hi. And we are here with Stephanie Matson.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. It's great to have you here today. And Stephanie actually could talk about a lot of things real estate because she does everything. She actually works Nebraska and Iowa business. She does residential. She can do commercial. She does property management. And really, she is the best property manager. So I'm excited that she chose to talk on property management today. So
it's probably about 2/3 of my business at this point, and I love that I kind of do everything soup to nuts. Walk through with an investor looking for a new home, or working with a current owner to help them walk through that process of what that looks like to rent their home.
So share your journey with us on how you got into property management, because you did not start in that area, and what drew you to this field, and how has your experience shaped your approach?
I think my answer to everything is pretty much dumb luck. No, I got my property management certification because a friend who was a former teacher coworker of mine took a teaching job out in Western Nebraska. And she said, hey, we don't want to sell our house because we plan to move back in about 5 or 6 years. Is there any way that you'd be willing to help manage our home? And I said, well, sure, I'm willing to take the class and do the thing. And I thought, well, I'll just manage the one. Well, one by the end of that year turned into 17, which then turned into 31. And so it grew super quickly.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love it.
Short amount of time. So when did you start in property management to get to today?
I got my real estate license 2 years ago this week, April of 22, and got my property management certification that fall of 22. They began renting their home that spring. So really, I think from February until now, I went from 1 to 31 homes.
So that's very impressive. Nice work. What qualities do you feel are important in a property manager?
Detail, organization is huge. So part of my background, I was a Air Force vet doing nuclear command and control. So there is no room for error, and checklist discipline is everything. So going from a career field like that into teaching, I taught for 10 years, where again, your details are super important. Data tracking, paperwork, management of people, and explanation of things is super important. And I think that flows really well into real estate, but also into property management.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So really, it just takes a rocket scientist to be a great property manager. Sure. So if you want a rocket scientist to be your property manager, Stephanie is your gal. Yeah. So with property management too, when you're looking at those properties, because I think some of the biggest questions, again, I think for most people are, how much can I get for my property? So what are some of the things that you look at when you're determining what a house's rental value can be?
It really kind of depends. If I'm working with an investor who they are just looking at dollars and cents, they are just looking at the bottom line. I have several of my investors who have a spreadsheet, and they're truly looking at what is their ROI, that return of investment. They're looking for, did I meet this percentage? Where if it's a homeowner who's lived in their home as their own personal residence, their thought process is quite different. So they're looking, well, can I cover my mortgage? Can I cover my property taxes? Am I covering the nuts and bolts of what I need to cover? But I'm looking at things like, what are other rental homes in the area priced at? What's the competition? Much like listing a home for sale, you're really looking at what are the other properties currently rented at.
Do you have a lot of investors that, start with you with one home and then it grows and then they're asking you to show them more to get more properties? Has that really helped your business grow?
Absolutely. Absolutely, because it kind of feeds each other. I have an investor who had a home that came to me from another agent. They've asked if they could work with me, and I talked to that previous agent and they were totally fine with it. And so now we're on the hunt looking for a second. I have others who they have a realtor that they're working with on the sales side, but that agent doesn't service properties on the rental side. So it really helps to kind of go back and forth and fill both needs.
Yeah. So I think, additional for, owners that are looking to rent it out, they're obviously looking at how much money am I going to make on this? But I think one of the biggest, hurdles or even questions that a lot of owners have is they hear all the horror stories, right? They hear well, my friend had this rental and, burned it down, whatever, that's extreme. But, there are just the scary stories about, different tenant situations out there. And so how do you approach filling a house with a tenant? Are there certain strategies or things you're looking for in order to place the right tenant in the house?
We do require all of our we do require all of those that are interested in applying for a home or seeing a home. I do expect that they complete an application prior to scheduling a showing. I think it's just makes for a better use of everyone's time. But I'm looking overall at their credit score, their payment history on both their regular debts as far as car payments and credit cards and things like that, but also their rental history and a clean background check as well. I think, a lot just is meeting people and having a conversation and getting to know them, but also doing the due diligence of making the phone calls and checking references, making sure that they are who they say they are.
So, okay, well, now you've placed a tenant, you've got a tenant in there. Tell me what it looks like for you with maintenance and repairs if tenants are, obviously we know all properties are not perfect and they've got stuff that needs fixed. What's that process look like for you as a property manager if you get a call or text or?
So prior to placing a tenant, we're kind of in that interim between the previous either tenant or owner moving out and placing a new tenant. I go through top to bottom and really look at plumbing, electrical, making sure things are working the way that they should be. And making sure that those repairs are made prior to a tenant moving in. Once someone's in, though, if there are issues, which happens, we use an app system where a tenant can go in night or day and put in a request. Something as simple as, hey, our kitchen drawer is stuck and kind of squeaky, to the PEX pipe beneath the master bathroom just ruptured and there's water spraying everywhere, which I've had before. So,
yay.
I mean, I think along with that is interesting, as the real estate industry evolves, and things change, obviously technology has been a huge piece of, I think, real estate in general, but property management has really, I think there's a lot of things out there that can help make the tenant's life easier, the owner's life easier, and the property manager's life easier. I guess, what are some of the ways you've seen technology help? Or are there certain things that you use that improve your property management system?
We use an app called Buildium, and it's great. It really has a platform that can be differentiated for owners. They have a portal that they can log into. The tenants have a portal that they can log into. And then myself and my admin can all look at the same system. And we're really looking at, financials, rent payments, history on things. We can process maintenance requests that way as well and get those taken care of. So it really just kind of is the one-stop shop for everybody to access, but it can be customized, I guess, for each user so that they are seeing the information that they need.
That's handy.
Yeah.
So, with prices going up on homes, I feel like it's a little bit maybe more difficult for investors to make sense of a property to work for their investment. What market conditions and trends have influenced how your investors are looking at a property or how you're finding a property? Do they do a lot of off-market, purchases, or you have to scope out a lot of off-market stuff, or what's kind of been?
Kind of a combination of both. I suppose for the rental investment properties, that is definitely more difficult these days. Just being patient and finding the right property. And there's so many different things that go into that, whether it's area or if something is needing some updates, but you can do them, on the lower cost end or get a lower cost contractor in there to make those repairs. Not in a poor quality, but just, to make those repairs, that can play into some of that.
Yeah. And I think something that's so cool about what you can do is if you're meeting with a client, I'm sure, like a lot of people right now, they're sitting on a low interest rate, right? And so a lot of people, if they have to move, which I know in Omaha, we have a lot of military clientele.
Yeah.
And so a lot of them, they've got timelines in which they've got to get moving. If they're sitting on that low interest rate and, of course, most people have built a lot of equity over the last couple of years, there's a lot of situations where people are wondering if they should sell their home or if they can hold onto it as a rental. Have you seen a lot of that happen?
I have a listing right now, actually, that just went under contract, but they were kind of on the fence too. And they came to me as a referral through property management, and they were really on the fence of we don't know what to do. So it was great that I could sit down and really kind of spell out both options for them with some kind of guesstimate ballpark numbers of, if we list, this could be your take home. This is what that process might look like. Or if we rent, then this is what this might look like as well. And trying to anticipate, well, these are the potential expenses for maintenance. Now they have a newer home, so hopefully there wouldn't be anything crazy. But, try to look through what could be the expectation of, a year or 2 years, 3 years down the line. And ultimately his response was, we're just too risk averse and we don't want to take that chance, and we'd rather try and sell. Even if it takes us a month or two, we'd rather go that route.
Are there certain resources you direct them to help with their decisions on whether they should sell or rent? Do you sit down and walk through what current rents are in the area, or what's kind of the process for you when you?
I do. So finding either a tax accountant that can kind of spell out, well, this is your tax benefit to owning a rental property, turning your personal home into that, and kind of talking through those numbers. That's not my wheelhouse, but I'll happily refer them out to people that are. And same with mortgage lenders. This is what this might look like. Could we possibly, especially for the military buyers, is it possible to walk through a loan assumption? That way someone else gets your low interest rate and you step out of the property. I think also just personal experience and giving them referrals. I have lots of other clients that are kind of in a similar situation. Mentioned my military background. My husband's retired Air Force as well, and we've moved a lot. And so kind of sharing our stories and situations, what got us through different moves and decisions. Ultimately it's their choice, but giving them the tools to make that choice is hopefully what I can do.
Yeah. So after, I guess, kind of doing property management for, the last couple of years, what do you think? Because I also have talked to a lot of people where they have very painful stories about the property management company they work with.
I have some of those of my own.
And it does seem like it's hard to find a good property manager for a lot of clients. And so I'm kind of curious, what have you found? Because you've exploded in your business. And, I know why, because you're fabulous. You're a wonderful property manager. But it'd be great to hear from you on what qualities do you think it really takes to be a great property manager?
Excellent communication skills. The relationship building piece, I think, is huge. And I tell tenants from day one, I tell my owners from day one, ultimately my responsibility, my loyalty goes to my owner. However, I do want to make that connection and relationship with my tenants. I want them to feel comfortable at, midnight when their kid wakes up and flush Spider-Man. I want them to feel comfortable and call me and say, hey.
Has that happened?
No.
Okay.
No, but that's always my example.
I feel like it was a true story.
No, but it should be. No, it should not be. But, I tell them I want them to feel comfortable to say, hey, this happened. Life happens. Stuff happens. We'll get it fixed. There's no anger. There's no animosity. It's just, stuff happens and we'll get there. I think just having that communication and really, truly being honest, but in a gentle but direct kind of way with both tenants when they're struggling or with owners to help kind of temper some of their expectations.
Talk about the 10 p.m. burst story.
Okay. Absolutely. So craziest story. Well, I have a newer home. It's only about 3 years old. It was an Air Force owner, and she medically retired and moved away and decided it was too new of a home and didn't want to sell. So she decided to rent. And we have coincidentally put a military family into it. And they're amazing, excellent people. And he called at about, it was like 10:15 p.m. And as soon as I saw his name pop up on caller ID, my heart just dropped and went, this isn't good. And so I answered the phone. He said, hey, there's water spraying from everywhere in the basement.
Gosh.
And and he took a deep breath and calmed himself down. He says, I've shut the water off and everything's fine. The water has stopped, but you should probably take care of this. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate the heads up. Do you have water in the home at all? Nope, I've shut all of the water off to the home. Oh, do you need to be in a hotel? No, we were headed to bed anyway. I think we're going to be fine. If we need anything, we'll just take care of it. Okay. So had a plumber out there the next morning, and sure enough, the PEX pipe from the master bathroom under the jetted tub had ruptured, and there was water everywhere in the basement. So things happen, even if you think it's a newer home, stuff happens.
Yeah. Fun times.
But it's nice to know you're available.
Yeah.
Yes.
You answered. You were there.
I did answer.
Yes.
I have teenagers, so I'm kind of night owl and I'm up late. So it works out fine.
Oh, that's great.
Well, that's great. You're great. So thank you. Yep. Thank you for sharing.
I got to address the elephant. I mean, the bird in the room. There is a bird that just really wants to be in this podcast outside the window.
Its way through.
It's going to make its way through the window someday.
The windows don't open. It's not going in.
Let's see. As we wrap up, I guess, do you have a goal, an ultimate end goal for how many properties that you would be like, okay, this is where I'm at on how many I'd want? Because I mean, you've grown fast, so
I have.
you're probably going to continue that. Do you try to take on so many a year extra, or where's your comfort zone?
That has been the question of the quarter, kind of what's my ceiling. And I think probably 35 is probably my comfort level for right now. It doesn't say that's forever. But just to give me some time to settle into that and kind of find a little bit more of a groove. I'd love to grow more if possible, but then it's always the balance of, well, if I'm taking on this many more properties, it limits the time that I can do on the sales side. So I want to have that availability as well.
Yeah. How do people reach you if they've got a property they are considering renting?
I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. S. Matson Real Estate is the handle on both those platforms. Text, email as well. Or my website, stephaniematson.com.
What's your phone number?
Phone number is 402-297-2416.
Perfect.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for all things property management. This has been very insightful. So thank you for joining us. All right, that's it. I think we're out.